18th Judicial Circuit. I've been on 3 years in February. It's been an awesome experience. I truly love the job. I love family law. I loved it so much that I was practicing family law up in Titusville before I took this position as a magistrate. And I was one of 2 full-time family law attorneys up there. When Steve Brewer retired, I was the only full-time family law attorney, and I felt guilty leaving that practice to come here and be a magistrate. But I'm very thrilled to be serving as a magistrate and helping in a way different capacity, and the capacity I think is much more important, which is also why I'm applying for this role of an even more important position as a judge. So I welcome your questions.
Thank you. Mr. Gerber?
Why you this time for this job?
I have had judicial aspirations from the get-go, and our family division has a significant backup right now with the retirement of Judge Ball. And I really, truly love family law, and I'm excited that this is a vacancy that seems to be staying in family law at this particular point. But I simply want to be a judge to make sure that I can apply the law consistently, make sure every litigant that comes through our county and our courthouse has a fair procedural trial and a consistent application of the law. That's not always how it is, and it's very important that it is applied that way. And I feel like I'm best suited to do that, and I would like to do that.
I think you were on our list in 2020.
Yes.
Right. How did you find the experience in Tallahassee, and what gives you a better chance this time?
The experience was through, actually by telephone, which was a little disappointing. I had prepared for that line of questioning by consulting with other appointees, looking at a lot of materials, and I felt mostly prepared. Since then, I feel like I'm even more prepared and better qualified to take the position because I've been holding this particular position now for coming up on 3 years. I have a lot more foundation on this side of the law. I have realized that my approach to law really seems to be in line with everything that I learned my last experience up in Tallahassee. So I feel like I'm going to be a little bit better prepared and a better candidate in their minds as well.
Nice to see you again. Is there anything that you would like to add? I know you've been through the process now. You were a relatively new magistrate last time you came before us. Was there anything that you left on that last interview? You said, you know, I really want to respond more to a particular question, or something that you want to add?
I did think about that because when I left here, I wrote notes on what I said and what the questions were last time. And I do feel that I was rather transparent and thorough last time, and nothing changed. My passion perhaps has increased, and my desire to have this job has increased, but there's nothing that I've left out that I feel that I need to highlight. I think the application was even more thorough this time. I think I put a little bit more in. I volunteer a lot more now. I've been voluntold a lot more now, so I'm happy to always serve in those roles. And I think even last time I was serving on the Florida chapter of the Association of Family and Conciliation Courts, and I wrote a little bit more about that, and I was very happy we actually had a published document in the Florida Bar Journal, and I was a contributing member to that, and that meant so much because the whole basis that I've applied as a general magistrate is making sure we have active case management, moving cases through, procedural fairness. When I was able to volunteer for that task force and they were able to publish an article related to contributions that I made, it was a very rewarding experience, and I know that it's a respected experience, and hopefully it takes off a little bit more statewide.
Mr. Bell?
Good afternoon. As I reviewed your application, I guess the one question I have for you, and I'm sure we asked this last time, is your trial experience. You have a fair number of bench trials, but no jury trials.
Correct.
In this position, you would probably be anticipated to be doing jury trials. What have you done to, prepare for that possibility, given your lack of experience?
I've done nothing at this particular point. What I would intend to do if I were to be in a position sitting in a division that has jury trials, I'm first going to educate myself by observing other judges, step one. And I think as I explained last time, I have a very good relationship with many of the judges, not just those in the family law division, but several of the judges. I would first observe. I would certainly look at the bench books, review the colloquies. I do not like being behind the 8 ball in any situation. when I don't know something, I'm going to pause, I'm going to research it, and I'm going to learn how to do it. And I'm a quick study. And I will resolve that issue for, I will also say, actually, we also have a lot of training opportunities, and OSCA will put out a lot of they're doing a lot of webinars right now. So I've signed up for a lot of those. I will transition into more jury-type education when I need to.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Are you prepared to defend the seat? And in other words, also, would you ever consider running for office?
Yes and yes. I am prepared. It's interesting, the JDAC issued an advisory opinion indicating that magistrates do not need to resign to run for a position, and I didn't know if that was a sign or not, but I am prepared. I would like to have the appointment. I am prepared to defend that in an election, and I'm also prepared to run if necessary. I don't have that immediate desire. I'm very happy with where I am, but if there are sufficient seats that are opening up, I would certainly and heavily consider that.
Hey, Ms. Smith-Rodriguez, how are you?
Good, thank you.
So everybody that spoke with thinks you did an amazing job as a magistrate, and you're very, very intelligent. So what I'd like to know is, what do you feel, do you believe are your top, probably 3 qualities that would distinguish you as a circuit court judge before you be selected?
You threw me with distinguish, because for my top 3 qualities, I would have certainly said, I'm very open-minded. I am incredibly consistent in all of the proceedings, so I think that it's incredibly important. And I like to think that I have patience with most of my litigants that come in are pro se, so you need a higher level of patience. As far as just distinguishing characteristics, I don't know that I am better or worse or different from any of the other candidates. I know there are certainly qualified candidates on this list. And I think my mere service as a magistrate for the last 3 years, getting into the nitty-gritty, being both administratively and procedurally speaking, I'm a good fit. I'm a seamless transition into the circuit bench. I'm already doing circuit work as a family law magistrate. And going into a circuit position where a lot of the judges don't necessarily write their own rulings. I write all my own report and recommendations. I do all my own research. I don't have a staff attorney. I think that I am certainly equally, if not slightly more advantaged just by having this position now.
All right, good afternoon.
Hi.
So I have spoken with almost all of the circuit judges, and they overwhelmingly are very impressed by the work that you've done. So I wanted to let you know that. It seems to be very important to the judges that whoever fills this position has family experience, which clearly you have. I don't know how important that is to the governor. Now, you're going to be likely rotating positions if appointed or elected. How would you address concern that either the governor's office or the JNC may have of the fact that you don't have experience in, for example, complex civil litigation or felonies, for example? How would you address that?
I'm going, as I told Commissioner Valentine, I'm going to educate myself. That's all I can do. I can't go back and fix practice that I didn't do, and I can't take on a docket that I'm not permitted to have as a magistrate. So all I can do is educate myself while serving, whether it's a magistrate or serving as a circuit judge in family law division, is continue to educate myself as I go. I will always take up these opportunities for the webinars, for the conferences, and I'm simply going to have to expand the reach to be geared up for it.
And you mentioned in response to Mr. Dowdy's question, possibly running for an open seat. There may be up to 2 open seats next year. Is that something that you would be ready for as early as next year? Or is that
I would
something-
be.
Okay.
I would be.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. So you were on the short list not that long ago, and I understand it was by vote, so it wasn't the way you would like to have done the interview. But in retrospect, do you have any thoughts as to why you weren't selected off the short list?
I do now.
Okay.
I do after having an opportunity to speak with some recent appointees. I have a little bit more insight into how to succinctly answer questions at that particular level and allow them to prod you for a further explanation, as opposed to laying all the foundation that you would do in law school with your, CRAC.
Very, very, very good answer. Thank you. Ms. Stanley?
Good afternoon, good to see you again. I just want to talk a little bit more about the question Mr. Robinson asked you, and I know he asked you about setting yourself apart from the other candidates. Well, there's quite a few candidates that have similar experience to you, as they're magistrates, they're hearing family law matters. So what sets you apart from those candidates?
I have taken on more responsibility, I think, just by my desire to improve the system. And from three of the candidates that I can think off the top of my head that are serving in our system right now, I have, as I told you all, signed up for or volunteered for the FLA FCC chapter and delved into that over a course of a year, just putting all I could into it, which prompted me to connect with our clerk's office to encourage a slight change in their procedures, to review their forms and their packets to make things easier for the litigants coming into the system. I'm often requested to cover other dockets, such as additional Baker Acts, such as Department of Revenue cases. So I'm trying to improve those systems. Is there an easier way to schedule them? Is there an easier way to get out our Microsoft Teams notice? I'm very involved in our administrative role. Not that I have an administrative role, not that anyone's asked me to do it, not that there's a sign-up sheet. It's just when I see an issue, I want to make it better for our internal system because it makes it better for the external system and all the litigants that come in. And I don't know the extent to which those other candidates that have similar experience have done that. To my knowledge, I think that I have done more of that than they have, and I have offered my assistance to them in any sort of capacity that they've asked.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, it's good to see you again. My question for you is, in your time as a magistrate, what has been the most difficult matter that you've presided over?
I feel like every Baker Act is the answer to that. I am not a fan of Baker Acts because it is a very tough process. You get short notice. These cases are filed on a short notice. You have to have them heard within 5 days. A lot of times the attorneys don't even have their paperwork in front of them until the day before. You have a lot of procedural roadblocks when you're looking at a person, you're hearing a person, you know that they need help. But you are bound by the law. And if the law says that that evidence can't come in because it's hearsay, and the attorney didn't have a sufficient time to get notice, and they try to get a continuance, and you're still having this person stuck in a mental health facility against their will, those cases are very hard because you're really trying to, you have to follow the law. You want to do what's right, but you can't always do what's right as far as helping this person because that's not my role. And frequently when I go down to one of the facilities in Melbourne, Circles of Care, I remind those doctors who get so angry with me that they have a role to do and I have a role to do, and sometimes our roles don't jive. And that just stings every single time.
Fair enough. Thank you for that.
What could be done to improve the Baker Act process from your perspective?
Notice requirements, for sure. If there was, it's important that these cases be heard within a short amount of time, but making sure that those petitions get right into the hands of the direct attorney that's going to be handling those cases as soon as it's filed. That step one would help, because that would help those attorneys then contact, a lot of times they're police-initiated Baker Acts, get the law enforcement officer to come testify, because their reports can't come in. And so having opportunities to allow witnesses to appear by Zoom. In the past year, we've been doing that by, it's a medical Zoom telehealth. So we've been doing them by Zoom. We've had so much more participation by family members who were working, who were out of state. That made a huge difference because now we actually have an understanding of what's going on. Now that we're required to have these proceedings back in person, we are not bringing the equipment, so the equipment's not set up and we're having these issues. And even just today, I just answered an email regarding, hey, can we have a Zoom witness tomorrow? Yes, yes you can. But that's the only things that you can improve is immediate access to the attorneys and allowing them to access witnesses easier. But that's a much bigger to-do than just our county.
So what is your, how would you describe your demeanor? as a magistrate, and how would that translate into being a circuit judge?
My demeanor, I'm always friendly. I always welcome everybody into the courtroom. A lot of times we have non-English speakers, and they will have an interpreter, and I do a quick Google search to know how to say hello in their language. It's important that everyone feels welcome in our courtrooms, and I make sure that I am open-minded, and I express that. I try to be as cool, calm, and collected. I don't want any frustration, whether it's in that case or something else that was outside, to come in. I want everyone to feel comfortable, and I want everyone to know that they're going to have a fair hearing, and they're going to have the opportunity to be heard. And I always make sure I say that. I always tell them, is there anything else? Are you sure? Do you need a few minutes? Let's take a 5-minute recess, collect your thoughts. And that's going to transition seamlessly into circuit court. It's the same attitude that needs to be applied.
Thank you. Do you have any closing remarks?
No, other than I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for this opportunity again. And whether it is successful this time or next time, I will keep applying. It is something that I very much want. I think I'm going to excel at it. And I think that it's going to be better for our community, our county, and certainly litigants that are coming through to have passionate people such as myself who truly care about the system and want to make the system better. So I'm excited for the opportunity, and I thank all of you for it.
Well, thank you for your time, and you're getting some good practice at being succinct and making me look good because I'm not running over time. So.
Perfect. All wins. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.